This podcast is part of the Soul Zone Network.
Hello, and welcome to the Butterfly Kinection.
Connecting your soul to source with Molly Rahe-Randall and Sara Courtney.
We are all connected, and we are not alone. What if you could rebirth your soul, gain movement in your life, and reconnect with your authentic self?
Join us each week as we connect with Source to answer the burning questions that lie deep within us and gain clarity and wisdom to soar to our greatest potential.
It's time to fly.
This is BK1, the Rebirth of Movement. We will be talking to you today about ourselves, how we created the name The Butterfly Kinection, and the rebirth of the movement that got us to this point. I'm Molly.
And I'm Sara.
We're so excited to be here with you today.
Yes.
So Sara and I, we first met in college. We're both music majors. We got to spend a lot of time as singers. We got to spend a lot of time in choir together, and we sort of kind of got to know each other, but not really super well. Our experience with student teaching is what I would say the universe threw us together. We were doing our student teaching in the same area, and a friend of ours who lived in that area, whose parents lived in that area, said, "Oh, just come stay in my bedroom. You guys can stay with my parents. You don't have to do all this extra driving. Just come stay with us." So Sara brought down a cot and I had the bed, and we shared a room together.
Oh, yes.
And when you are in an experience where you are in a same space like that with someone, you really do start to get to know that person so much better. And with our journey of student teaching, which was not always easy, we really were able to lean on each other and support one another throughout that time. So I'm going to turn it over to Sara so she can talk a little bit about the experience and how she viewed it.
Well, it was definitely a lot of fun. We laughed a lot, and we found out right away just how easy it was for us to talk to one another in that little tiny room on my little tiny cot that I slept in for 4 months. And yeah, student teaching was very difficult, but it was made lighter and easier knowing that I could come home and I could vent. We can really connect and speak to one another and have no judgment. So that was really the beginning of our friendship, as I would say that we felt like we were connected in some way.
Then life happened, and we kind of went our own separate ways for a while. And then we started reconnecting and making more of an effort to spend time together. And at that point, I was playing out a lot, but was really looking to have a little bit more variety with the music combos. And I called Sara and I said, "Oh my gosh, we should be doing like piano and violin together for weddings and things. That would just sound amazing." And what was so awesome about that is when we first got together, here we were singers singing in choir in college. And here we had our secondary instruments, and we came together and it was magical. We felt so in sync with one another. If Sara started to get louder in a spot, I would get louder. We just knew. We just tapped into one another and knew. Now, at the time, we didn't really know that we were intuitively tapping into one another, but it was happening.
Yeah, there was definitely some kind of a soul connection, and not just between the two of us, but how we presented our music outward. And I think that was a big thing with our success in playing, because we played for several years together in that way, doing weddings, ceremonies, cocktail hours, private events, and just getting our name out there. And at the time, I was still teaching public school as a high school choir director, so I wasn't able to play out as much on my own. So the opportunity to be with Molly to do that was like an out for me, a musical out, because the job I was in was so stressful. And then we had our children, And of course, life is always so beautiful when you have children. It's also a challenge for schedules and whatnot. So when I chose to leave my teaching job to teach privately, oh man, then we got to spend so much more time with each other,
And it was great because at the time I did not go into a school to teach. I always wanted to teach privately and play. And when Sara decided to make that leap of faith, I was really happy to be able to support her and to kind of help her out with the ins and outs of just being able to have the faith to know that teaching privately and playing was the calling for her and that she would be fine. And the things we worry about are all the bills are going to get paid. Can I, take care of my children the way I want to if I make this decision? And so that was really great. That helped us to bond even more. But, even through all of that, we spent a lot of time, we really started opening up to ourselves about the things that we were just about childhood experiences and things that we really needed to work through. And I remember one day just thinking to myself, I need something more. I need some help. And I just intuitively, not knowing it was intuitive, I asked God, I asked for angels, God's source for help. And Googled and found Kelly T. Smith, an intuitive life coach, set up a session with her, had the most amazing experience ever. She looked at me and said, you're a medium. Really, that thought never crossed my mind before that I was like this intuitive medium. But I started thinking back about, as my childhood and things that went on in my life. And I realized, oh my gosh, that's probably why I was dreaming about these people that passed. And that's probably why I would hear these voices of guidance, and it was nobody there just talking to me, and I knew I wasn't crazy. This was great. I called Sara up and I was like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this. And of course I'm telling her and she's getting excited.
And of course I went ahead and called Kelly and I'm like, well, if she's doing this, I need to check this out too. And yeah, it just, when I left my teaching job and all of this occurred, it was already kind of a rebirth for me because I didn't have the stress. And then having a session with Kelly to find out that I also was a medium and a spiritual connected person and that I could write and connect with people through my writing. It was a very eye-opening experience. And then once we realized this together, we would have these conversations and Spirit would just be so amazing to us and showing us all of the things that we could do and see and feel to help not only ourselves, but to help other people.
And that's the thing that we loved more than anything. Because as teachers and being able to teach one-on-one privately, not only were we sitting there teaching someone how to play a song correctly or this, that, and the other thing, we were trying to also help our students to spiritually grow. And we did it in a way that we didn't even know we were really doing it before our gifts opened up. And even the connecting with music, there's such this spiritual connection that comes with music. So here we are with our students and we're spending all this time and we just want to see the best of them and help them with creating forward movement in their lives. And we were getting all this fantastic guidance for each other and for other people. And that's when we had this amazing opportunity. And we have to thank Kelly again for this opportunity when she called us up and said, would you like to do a podcast? And we thought, oh my gosh, I think this is what we've been asking for, but we didn't know what the answer was. Because at that time, it was not time for us to even receive the answer until it was the perfect time for that answer to come. So we had been asking, what should we be doing? How can we put out here what we've been learning and experiencing? And this happened. And then, boy, did we get excited.
Yes, we got these amazing visions in our heads of butterfly and the earth and the universe, like the stars, the heavens above. And we were brainstorming one day about what we would want to call our podcast. And the two of us are very connected to butterflies. We always have been, very young age. So, Molly came up with the idea of something with a butterfly. And then I kept hearing the word connection. So we kind of come up with a name, but we weren't 100% satisfied.
Right. We first thought connection because, we just were thinking on the surface connection with a C, things connecting together. And we were like, oh, the butterfly connection. That just sounds really cool. And then I heard in my head, you need to look that up and see if that exists. And it did. Then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's something else. But they kept saying to me, it is connection. You are not thinking about it in the way you should be thinking about it. And so I opened up my mind. I asked for the guidance again. And all they said to me was kinetic connection. And I went, oh my gosh, I have to call Sara. This is connection as in movement, not connecting together, but the movement. And butterflies are all about rebirth and new beginnings and moving forward, which is why we connect so deeply with the butterfly. And I called her on the phone and I was like, it's connection with the K, like kinetic with the K. That's what we were missing.
Yes. And I kept seeing the K too. And then it totally made sense. Connection of earth to sky, connection of us to each other, connection, the movement and everything involved in that to the heavens and to source. And so once we figured that out, we knew that movement was what we needed to speak about. That feeling of kind of being stuck and unable to figure out what the next step was in your life. That's kind of what we realized that we needed to get out to the world. And that's how the podcast name kind of came to be.
Yes. And I truly believe not just us, but there's a lot of people out there who are feeling stuck or feeling as if maybe they aren't in the right direction or even where they want to be in life, where you get up in the morning and you go, oh, I got to do this and I got to do that. And this is my day. And this, and you're not feeling joy and satisfaction and excitement and passion for what you're doing. And I think once we get to that point in our lives where we go, I want more than this. And we start to work on those things that are making us feel stuck. There is such a rebirth that occurs. And as soon as we start to see that rebirth, there's all of this movement that comes into play. Maybe if you're feeling stuck in your job and you go, what do I really want? And you set that intention. This is what I love to do. This is what I really want to be doing. You open up your eyes and then suddenly you might run into a complete stranger one day in the supermarket that starts talking to you about something that you have interest in. Or you take a walk and end up speaking to somebody else that you would have never spoken to before that might have a similar idea that you have.
Right. And spirit is so incredible in the way that these messages come through in our lives. Spirit gives us signs everywhere. It could be, like Molly said, meeting someone you haven't seen in years, or seeing a word more than one time out of the blue. And I think part of rebirth is realizing and understanding that the answers are there. All you need to do is ask the right questions. And then you will be able to start to understand your connection and be able to find the things that have been missing, finding your joy. That is such a deep thing that we believe in wholeheartedly, that you out there can find that. You can discover it again, that you can become reborn in it. And also I want to say that I've noticed lately that, there is a movement, there is a spiritual awakening occurring in our society and in the people around us. So you are not alone in what it is you're feeling and thinking. You are not alone in knowing that there's something bigger that's out there and that's ready for us to kind of take it and envelop it into ourselves. And so the movement, the rebirth, is on the horizon. And so we truly feel blessed to be able to be part of that for you and bring the guidance that we're hearing from Source to help people to have movement and love in their life.
And I really feel there's a comfort there when you start to awaken and have a rebirth and you feel alone, knowing that there are others out there that feel the same way you do. And you can create a community of like-minded awakeners. And we can all support one another in our journeys. Because just because we're all awakening and those that are awakening and we're moving, our movement doesn't always look the same, but we can lock arms and walk together on the journey. And we have so much that we all can share. Because the messages that Sara and I get are maybe slightly different from messages that others get. And you put all of our messages together and it just creates this big, beautiful puzzle. And you put the puzzle together and this kind of movement can change the world. Our light can change the world. We make this world a better place just with the light that we have to bring to it.
And that is our mission for the Butterfly Connection. That is our mission, to bring a rebirth of movement for anyone out there who would love to come with us on this journey.
Thank you for listening to The Butterfly Connection with Molly Rahe-Randall and Sara Courtney.
Check out our website at thebutterflyconnection.com and download our free weekly guided journaling exercises.
We would love to hear from you. Subscribe to our podcast and give us a review. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest.
And join us next week for another soul-connecting conversation.